Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the Christmas Day NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo. We have our 5-game slate that we have every Christmas Day for NBA. 5 games starting from 12 o'clock noon all the way up till 10:30 at night. Each game goes one after the other, so you get to watch each game as it goes. There's not multiple games going on at the same time, which is something that I really enjoy. Makes it a very fun sweat. I always really enjoy the Christmas Day NBA slate. It's definitely one of my favorite DFS slates, up there with like the Thanksgiving Day NFL slate. So excited to play this. We got some big contests both on DK and Yahoo. I believe we have a millionaire maker on DK. We got a 100K contest over on Yahoo. So good contest to play. Gonna be a fun slate. Let's go ahead and break this down, starting off at point guard. But real quick before we do get started, guys, as always, appreciate it if you would hit that like button down below. Hit the subscribe button as well if you are new to the channel. With NBA starting back up, this is definitely going to help my channel a ton. You guys do, you kill it with the NBA content in terms of support. You show me so much support on this channel with the likes, the views on all my NBA videos. I do greatly appreciate that, guys. Let's try and hit over 300 likes on this video. Would appreciate that. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. Hope you win some money on this Christmas Day slate. And yeah, let's go ahead and start off at point guard. So at the top, we got 3 guys over 10K here. We got Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, and then LeBron James all coming in above 10K on DraftKings. So I think looking at these top 3 guys, my favorite 2 are definitely Luka and Steph. Luka, I liked a lot on Wednesday's slate, the big 13-game slate. He didn't really have that good of a game against the Suns. I really like Luka because Porzingis is out right now. We know when Luka plays without Porzingis, like his numbers are just, they're through the roof. He averages like close to 1.7 fantasy points per minute. We know the ball's going to be in Luka's hands. He's going to be a usage monster. He is a little bit more expensive than Curry, though, and I think Curry's a guy that I'm going to be playing a lot this year. He did see a big price bump up. He was, I believe, 9,300 on the opening day slate. He's now 10,200 today, but like Curry's just going to be so good for this Warriors team. I mean, he's going to dominate the usage. We know the ball is going to be in Curry's hands a ton. He finished with 42 fantasy points in limited minutes, only played 30 minutes. He didn't play at all in the fourth quarter in that game against Brooklyn because it was a blowout. But still, even in only 30 minutes, Curry did have a double-double, 20 and 10 with 4 rebounds, 2 steals. Really, really solid game from Curry. No Klay Thompson, who's out for the season. Draymond Green doesn't seem like he's going to be ready for this game either. We'll have to keep an eye on his status. Like, Curry's just going to be a usage monster. Going to take a ton of shots, going to have the ball in his hands a ton. Against a fast-paced Milwaukee team, I like the upside for Steph Curry here. I know Milwaukee has a good defense. There's definitely some blowout concerns here, but if the game can stay close, it's probably going to be because of Steph Curry. He's going to be the reason that the Warriors are keeping it close. So I like Curry a ton. He's one of my favorite pay-up options on the slate. Going to be a guy that I play a lot this year. I think he's just going to be an absolute monster for fantasy. Has the potential to finish like top 5 overall in my opinion. So love Curry today. Definitely one of my favorite pay-up options overall. $40 on Yahoo, I think. That's where he really looks good. Coming in a lot cheaper than LeBron and a lot cheaper than Luka. Definitely like me some Steph Curry over on Yahoo. But even on DK, I definitely would rather go to Curry over LeBron. I don't think many people are going to do that. They don't want to pay that price tag for Curry. But I think the guy's worth it, at least, this year with how much usage he's going to get. But then you got like Kyrie, Jamal Murray, Jimmy Butler, some guys in that mid-range. I definitely like Kyrie. He looked really good in their debut on Tuesday night. Another guy that, didn't get a ton of run. He didn't have to play full minutes because of the blowout. But even in limited minutes, even in only 25 minutes, Kyrie did have 35 fantasy points. He got off to a really hot start, then kind of cooled down a little bit, but playing alongside KD, it doesn't seem like that's going to really hurt Kyrie. He was very efficient, very productive in limited minutes on Tuesday night, and this game against Boston should definitely stay close. We should see Kyrie get back to playing his full allotment of minutes. I do like him a lot. Him and Steph are the same price on Yahoo, so I would definitely rather play Steph. On DraftKings, I think Kyrie's in play for sure at 8,900. He is coming in a lot cheaper than Curry, so you could look to Kyrie there. I think out of all the 8K guys, between him, Jamal Murray, and Jimmy Butler, Kyrie, is definitely my favorite between those 3 guys. But then scrolling down, Drew Holiday I liked on Wednesday's slate because he was pretty affordable, 6,900. He's up to 7,500 today, so a little bit tougher to get to Drew Holiday at 7,500. I don't mind Dennis Schroeder at 6,300. He looked really good for the Lakers in their opening night game. He did start at point guard, and he played pretty big minutes, I believe. I think he finished with like over 32 or 33 minutes. I can't exactly remember. Let me check just to be sure. So Schroeder he only played 27 minutes, which was kind of a surprise, but he still had 39 fantasy points. He nearly triple-doubled, was just 2 assists shy of a triple-double. I think we're going to see Schroeder be very productive with his Lakers team. He did play point guard whenever LeBron was off the floor. Like, he was the backup point guard. You would have either one of Schroeder or LeBron on the floor at all times. That's just the way they stagger their minutes, and that is really good for Schroeder's fantasy value. This is a guy that can be productive when he gets minutes. Doesn't seem like playing alongside LeBron and AD is really going to hurt his fantasy value too much. So I like Dennis Schroeder quite a bit. I think he's another guy in that mid-range that I will for sure be looking to. 6,300. I think I do prefer him over all the other 6K guys, over all the other guys in that price range. But one guy I really like, Eric Bledsoe, I think is just too cheap once again. 5,600 on DK, very affordable price tag. Also coming in pretty affordable on Yahoo at just $19. So I kind of mentioned Bledsoe in Wednesday's video. I thought he was a little bit too cheap, and he played pretty well. He played really big minutes. 34 minutes, had 31 fantasy points, 18 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Seems like Bledsoe's going to be productive with this Pelicans team. He's going to get the opportunity. They played him, I believe, 20 minutes in the first half. Like, he was on pace to play around 40 minutes. Obviously, he didn't wind up doing that, but it seems like they're going to give Bledsoe big minutes. He should be productive with this Pelicans team. Not having to play alongside Giannis is helpful for Bledsoe because Giannis is such a high-usage player. Obviously, the Pelicans have high-usage players like Brandon Ingram, like Zion Williamson, but it seems like Bledsoe's going to be able to be productive. We are going to see his price rise soon enough. I mean, he's not going to be this cheap for a while if they're going to keep running him out there for 34, 35 minutes a game, or 34, 35 minutes a night. So while Bledsoe's only 5,600, I think we definitely need to take advantage of that. If he has another good game, he's probably going to rise up to like 6,500, 7K potentially on the next slate. So I like Bledsoe a lot. I think he's too cheap at 5,600. I think both of the Miami guards feel a little bit too cheap as well. Really good matchup for them against the Pelicans, a fast-paced team, a team that really is not that good defensively. Definitely like Tyler Hero, definitely like Goran Dragic. I think if I can only play one, probably would give the slight edge to Dragic just because I think he's the more productive player overall. Might not play as many minutes, but Dragic, even though he's coming off the bench, can still put up 35, close to 40 fantasy points any night, even only 25, 28 minutes. So I do like Dragic. I mean, not much else stands out under Dragic besides like Dante DiVincenzo, who we'll talk about, who I do really like. Jeff Teague, I guess I'll mention. So Teague did have a really good game for the Celtics in their opening night game. He did come off the bench, which I thought was kind of a surprise. I thought there was a chance that maybe Jeff Teague would start because Kemba Walker is out right now. But Teague came off the bench. He still had a really, really good game, though. Finished with, I believe, almost 40 fantasy points. Yeah, 37.6 fantasy points in 25 minutes off the bench. 19 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Just a really, really productive game from Jeff Teague. I don't think we're going to see him be this productive rest of season, but if they're going to give him 25 to 30 minutes off the bench while Kemba Walker is out, especially like on Yahoo where he's minimum salary, Jeff Teague is definitely a value play that I will be looking to. If he keeps playing this well, maybe there's a chance that he winds up in the starting lineup while Kemba remains out. Like I can't remember who started. I think they actually went with Marcus Smart at point guard, and they started Tristan Thompson and Daniel Tice alongside each other. I'm not sure if that's going to be their plan for now, but maybe Teague winds up starting if he keeps playing this well. Even if he comes off the bench and he's like their 6th man, he played really good in that role. He was very productive. At 4,200, he's a value play that you could look to, but I do really like Dante DiVincenzo. I want to talk about him. So he's 4,700 on DK. Also, minimum salary on Yahoo. I just think he's a guy that's way too cheap over there. So DiVincenzo is the starting shooting guard for the Bucks now, with no Wesley Matthews, with no Eric Bledsoe. They did start DiVincenzo at shooting guard in their Wednesday night game, in their debut game, and he played really well. Played 27 minutes, had 30 fantasy points, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. This is a guy that, when he gets minutes, he can be productive. Obviously, he's going to be more productive whenever Giannis is off the floor, which he may get some time with Giannis off the floor. But if they're going to keep starting DiVincenzo and giving him, 25, close to 30 minutes a night, I mean, while he's only $10 on Yahoo minimum salary, even 4,700 on DraftKings. I don't mind paying that price tag for DiVincenzo if the minutes are going to be there, which does seem likely now that he is starting. So I like him a lot as a value. I like the matchup against the Warriors. The Warriors are definitely a team we're probably going to be wanting to pick on this year. I don't expect them to be very good defensively at all. They should be a pretty fast-paced team. Definitely a good spot for Dante DiVincenzo, and with him starting now, a lot of value. Definitely a guy we can look to for cheap. So I like him, but other than that, I think we can go ahead and move on to the shooting guard position. So at shooting guard, I do want to talk about Paul George. I think Paul George is just way too cheap today, at least on Yahoo. We'll talk about his Yahoo price. He's only $29 over there. I think he clearly looks like one of the better shooting guards, along with, Eric Bledsoe, Dennis Schroeder, who we talked about as well. Really like Paul George on Yahoo. Don't mind him on DraftKings either. He's not as affordable on DraftKings, $8,700. They did bump up his price quite a bit. I believe he was like $7,700 on the last slate, but PG was pretty productive. Played big minutes, got 35 minutes, 36 minutes in that game against the Lakers, 42 fantasy points. Like that's what we should expect from PG. This is a guy that is productive when he gets minutes. He can score, he can rebound. We know he can get those defensive stats as well. He's one of the better shooting guard plays on Yahoo in my opinion, and even on DraftKings, if you can find a way to pay up for him, I definitely like PG at the top. Karis LeVert, not sure if I'm going to be going there. He did have a big game in their debut in the opening night game. Came off the bench though, played 25 minutes off the bench. He was incredibly productive. Definitely, I think he produced a little bit over his head. Had 45 fantasy points in only 25 minutes, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a block. I would not expect LeVert to be nearly as productive on a point-per-minute basis as he was in their last game. Tougher matchup here as well against Boston. I think if people are going to chase this Karis LeVert game, he is definitely a guy I'm probably going to be underweight on or just going to be off of as a whole. I'm not that interested in LeVert. I think with him coming off the bench, he should get plenty of usage off the bench, but I don't know how many minutes he'll play. I don't think he's going to get 33, 35 minutes. I think he's more likely going to be around the high 20s, maybe creeps into the 30s, but at 7,200, I think there's just other guys that I'd rather get to. Probably would rather save salary and play someone like Dennis Schroeder, play someone like Eric Bledsoe for cheaper, or if I can find a salary, just try and get up to Paul George. But I guess if you chose me to pick someone between LeVert, Middleton, or Brown, in the 7K range, probably would go with LeVert there, but honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of either three. Jaylen Brown did have a big game on Wednesday night, but I don't think that's going to be something that I chase. With Kemba Walker out, Jaylen Brown does benefit, but it's not like he's, dirt cheap. I mean, he's 7K. He's appropriately priced in my opinion, so probably won't be someone that I get, a ton of exposure to. But then scrolling down, Tyler Hero we talked about I think is fine to go to. Josh Richardson played big minutes Wednesday night. He didn't really do much, which was definitely disappointing, which was something I didn't like to see. But if they're going to run Josh Richardson out there for 35, 36 minutes a night, especially while Porzingis is out, he could be someone worth looking to. Only 5,400 on DK. I don't mind him at shooting guard. Really, though, there's not much punt value that I'm in love with. There's really no cheap options I feel confident in, under 5K. Not much value at this position. I think, the mid-range options look really good here. Schroeder, Bledsoe, I really, really like. You can play at shooting guard. DiVincenzo has shooting guard eligibility as well. Those are kind of the guys I'm looking to at this position. I guess I don't mind Lou Will. Only 5,200 for Lou Will. That does feel a little bit too cheap, but he didn't look great in their debut. Only played 26 minutes. Still, we know the kind of upside that Lou Williams has coming off the bench. At 5,200, he does have the upside to easily pay off that price tag, but let's go ahead and move on to the small forward position. So we got Kawhi coming in at 9,800 at small forward. Don't really think Kawhi is going to be a guy I go out of my way to pay up for today. I think there's other studs I'd rather get to. I think I would probably rather play Luka and Giannis. Definitely would rather get to Steph Curry, who we talked about. Even Kevin Durant for a little bit cheaper, I really, really like here. So I don't think I'm going to be getting to a ton of Kawhi. Kawhi's usually not a guy that I try and pay up for anyway, especially when he's appropriately priced. When he's so closely priced to some of the other studs that we have, I think those guys give you more upside. Those guys are more likely to go for 60, 70 DraftKings points. So not really going to be on Kawhi. Don't have a ton of interest in him. Same with Jason Tatum. I think Tatum just might be a little bit too expensive for me. Probably would rather play Kevin Durant or even try and get up to, the guys we mentioned, Curry, Luka. You could go up to the top two. But then scrolling down a little bit, Brandon Ingram is coming off a huge game Wednesday night, but I don't know if I'm going to be chasing that. He's 8,300. He's kind of expensive. I'll probably let other people go to Brandon Ingram. Kelly Oubre I do have interest in. He was terrible in his debut game, but he's still affordable, especially on Yahoo. He's only $19 over there. If you're looking for a small forward to play and you can't pay up at the top for Kawhi or Ingram or those guys, I think Oubre looks really, really good in the mid-range. I do like him a lot at only $19 on Yahoo. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. is a starter now for the Nuggets. You know, with Jeremy Grant no longer on the team, they are starting MPJ at small forward, which should help his fantasy value. He did have a really good game Wednesday night. At 6,700, I guess he could be fine to go to in the mid-range. Talked about Josh Richardson you could look to as well. I mean, not much else stands out. I mean, not Pascal Siakam, but Eric Pascal was, he was a chalky value play on the 2-game slate on Tuesday night because he was so cheap. He was like 3,800. Well, now he's 4,700. I think with the bump in price, Eric Pascal definitely not nearly as appealing as he was a couple of days ago. It's kind of the same with Nick Batum. Like I liked Batum once we got word that he was starting. He did play pretty solid minutes. I believe he played close to 30 minutes or maybe even more than that. Let me check real quick. I have to look at Yahoo because they update their game logs already. DraftKings won't have their game logs updated for a couple of days, but yeah, Batum played 28 minutes. He did start in place of Marcus Morris. You know, he didn't do much in terms of points, but, he kind of contributed with a little bit of everything. 3 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. Finished with 24 fantasy points. I guess he's not the worst value play, but I think there are probably some other guys I would rather go to. Other guys I think give you more upside, so really won't have much of Batum. I mean, value at power forward or small forward is pretty thin overall. There's really not any cheap plays that stand out, at least, like head and shoulders above the rest. I think this is a position, again, I kind of like the mid-range. We talked about some guys like Kelly Oubre, especially on Yahoo. I like at his price. You could look to like Michael Porter Jr. in the mid-range. Josh Richardson we talked about, I have interest in. But yeah, I think that's probably it for small forward guys. Let's go ahead and move on to the power forward position. So at the top of the power forward position, you got Giannis at 10,900. You got Anthony Davis at 10,300. Giannis, a guy that I do like a lot here. I mean, it's hard not to like Giannis. The guy is in play pretty much every slate, especially like on a shorter 5-game slate like this one against a bad Warriors defense, a Warriors team that should play fast. I mean, this game right now, I believe it does have, right now this Golden State-Milwaukee game, it does have the highest total of all the 5 games. So this is going to be an appealing game worth targeting. Just, we got to hope that it stays close. And if it does, there's plenty upside for Giannis. We know the minutes should be there if the game is close. He did play 36 minutes in their game against Boston, which was a competitive game. We might get 32, 34 minutes from Giannis here against this bad Warriors defense, a team that really just will have no answer for him. Ton of upside for Giannis. Definitely one of my favorite pay-up options at power forward. I do prefer him over Anthony Davis. I'm a big Anthony Davis guy, but I think on this slate, I would probably rather get up to Giannis. I think Giannis just gives you a little bit more upside, probably a little bit more safer as well. Like Giannis, at this point, the guy has a 50-point floor. I mean, even on his bad games, like you're still getting 50-plus DK points from Giannis. He's just so consistent, and we know, there's always massive upside for him. So really like him at the top. Really like Kevin Durant as well. I like the savings you get dropping down from Giannis to Durant. Giannis is $1,500 more than Durant on DK, and on Yahoo, Giannis is $8 more than Durant. So pretty good savings there. You could definitely go with Giannis on Yahoo because the pricing is just a lot softer. It's pretty easy to get to Giannis, but I like plugging in Durant. I think Durant's definitely going to be a guy I get a good amount of exposure to. He does feel a little bit underpriced on both sides. He was really good in their debut. He only played limited minutes. I think he only played like 25 minutes. Yeah, only 25 minutes for Kevin Durant in their debut game against the Warriors, but was really good. 43 fantasy points, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Like, it didn't really seem like Durant missed a beat at all. I mean, he looked just as good as ever. In games that are close, I mean, like this one should be, you expect Durant to play his normal minutes, 32 to 34 minutes. If he gets normal minutes in that Warriors game, then he's probably hitting 50-plus fantasy points. This is a guy that's going to give you 50-plus point upside on a nightly basis. Even playing alongside Kyrie, it doesn't seem like that's really going to hurt Durant's fantasy value too much. If anything, it's going to help him because the offense is just going to run through those two guys. I really like KD here. I know Boston's a good defensive team, but Kevin Durant is matchup proof. Even with his injuries, the guy still looks like one of the best players in the league. I really like KD. Definitely one of my favorite pay-up options at power forward as well. Him and Giannis it's pretty close. I think given the savings, I'd rather play KD, but I do like both guys quite a bit. If you can find the salary to get up to Giannis, by all means, go ahead. But I think Durant's fine to go to for a little bit cheaper. But then some other options like Zion, his price came up to $8,100. I think he was like $7,500 on Wednesday, which was appealing. Now that he's $8,100, I don't think he's nearly as appealing of an option. Even though they said they're going to not limit his minutes this year and he's going to be kind of unleashed, he didn't really get a ton of minutes. I mean, he only played, I believe, like 30 minutes. Yeah, just 29.5 minutes for Zion in their debut, in their their opening game, which was kind of disappointing, but still, the guy has a lot of upside. I don't mind him, but I don't think he's like a top play for me. I would definitely rather get up to KD if I can. Montrez Harrell, I do like a lot. Do want to talk about Montrez Harrell. So he was a big bright spot for the Lakers, even though they took the loss to the Clippers on Tuesday night. Like, Harrell played really well off the bench, and he is someone that I like a lot here. Very affordable on both sides. Well, not as much on Draftkings, but on Yahoo where he's $15, I think Harrell looks like a really good center play over on Yahoo. Came off the bench, played really well, played big minutes, 32 minutes off the bench, had 35 fantasy points, double-double with 17 and 10, also chipped in with 3 assists and a block as well. I mean, Harrell, last year with the Clippers, especially towards the end of the year and like in the playoffs, he really wasn't playing too well. He didn't have a very good role. Like, he wasn't getting many minutes. It seems like he's going to have a very big role with this Lakers team. He's going to play big minutes off the bench, and Montrezl Harrell is a guy that when he gets minutes, he can be very productive. He can give you points and rebounds. He's pretty much a double-double any night. Like, he can give you a double-double basically any night, especially when he's playing 30-plus minutes. He can get defensive stats as well. I like him a lot. I think he's way too cheap, especially on Yahoo where he's only $15. And even on Draftkings where they priced him up to $6K, I still have a lot of interest in Montrezl Harrell at that price point. I think he can easily get 35, 40 DK points and be a really good play at a $6K price point. So I like Harrell quite a bit. Do prefer him over all the other guys in that mid-range like Kuzma and Tice. Definitely give me Harrell over those two guys. Scrolling down though, Pascal, Batum, we talked about, I think are fine options, but really nothing else stands out at power forward. I don't think there's really any great cheap value that stands out. Maxi Kleber, I know he came off the bench. I don't think he played too well, though. Yeah, he only finished with 14 fantasy points in 26 minutes off the bench. Even with Porzingis out, I don't know if there's really going to be much fantasy value from that Mavs front court, so probably won't even be going to Kleber, even though he's cheap at $3,500. Just don't see myself going there, so yeah, I think we can go ahead and touch on the center position real quick, guys, before we do end the video. So we got Jokic here at $10,100. Jokic was absolutely he went off Wednesday night in their debut game, had a huge game against the Clippers. I think he finished with 71 fantasy points, had a triple-double. It was an overtime game, so he did play close to 42 minutes, but even before overtime, like, Jokic was already going off, looked amazing. I mean, I'm a big Jokic fan. I literally have a Jokic shirt on right now. Like, he's one of my favorite players in the league. I love watching him play. I think given the slate, though, there's probably other guys I would rather get to. Not saying Jokic is a bad play. I mean, he's always in play for me, but I think I'd rather play Curry. I think I'd rather get up to Giannis. Probably would rather save salary and play KD, but I would say Jokic would probably be my fourth favorite stud behind those three guys. I'm a big Jokic fan. The guy is so talented, just such a productive player. He can contribute in all categories, has a chance to triple-double basically any night, and this Clippers team, they added Serge Ibaka, so they might be a bit better defensively against bigs, but normally this is a team that you can attack with bigs. I know Jokic had some big games against the Clippers last year, so I do like him at $10,100. I think him and AD, if you made me choose one of those two guys, I would definitely rather go to Jokic on this slate. Bam Adebayo against the Pelicans, really good matchup for Bam, $7,800, not too bad of a price point. I don't mind him in the mid-range. James Wiseman, it was reported that he was going to play limited minutes in his debut in their Tuesday night game, and he kind of didn't. I mean, he played pretty big minutes. They gave him 24 minutes. He did play a lot late in the game, like in garbage time, finished with 31 fantasy points. I mean, this is a guy that is going to be very productive when he gets the minutes. It's just a matter of how many minutes are they going to give him. Given that he played 24 in a blowout, I think it's likely he gets probably 26, 28 today. I assume he's going to keep, he's going to stay the starter. So he's a guy you could look to. His price did come up quite a bit, so he's not nearly as good of a play as he was on the last slate. But I don't mind James Wiseman in the mid range. I think he's someone you could look to. You know, DeAndre Jordan was the starter for Brooklyn, so if you force me to choose a Brooklyn big, whether it's Jarrett Allen or DeAndre Jordan, I do prefer DeAndre Jordan because I think his minutes are going to be a little bit more secure as a starter, and I think even though it's probably going to be a pretty even split, I would probably give the slight edge to Jordan just because he is the starter. Probably, you know, 26, 22, leaning in favor of DeAndre Jordan, but like Serge Ibaka, I don't mind at 5,400. He didn't play many minutes. I think he only played like 20 or 22 minutes. He did start. He was solid. He was pretty productive. I think he averaged about a fantasy point per minute, even in limited time. I mean, if Ibaka is going to continue to start at center for the Clippers, at 5,400, he could be someone worth considering as sort of a, you know, cheaper option at this position. But really, I don't think there's much value to talk about at center, like below 5K. I guess if you force me to play anyone down here, it would probably be Paul Millsap. Like, I didn't touch on Millsap at power forward, but Millsap did have a solid game on Wednesday night. He did play pretty well. He played big minutes, too. With no Jeremy Grant, I feel a little bit better about Millsap's minutes. I think it's likely that he gets, you know, close to 30 minutes, if not a little bit more on a nightly basis. 4,900 is probably an appropriate price for him. It's not like he's a great value or anything, but I don't mind him as a cheaper center. But really, that's kind of it for this position. You know, not a ton of value on this 5-game slate, on this Christmas Day slate. Makes it a little bit tough. The value, it's kind of thin. Like, there's no cheap standout plays, but we do have guys in the mid-range that I think are underpriced. We have some guys like DiVincenzo, maybe Jeff Teague that do feel a little bit too cheap as well. So, should be a pretty fun slate. Always enjoy this Christmas Day slate, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you win some money. Hope you have a great Christmas as well. Enjoy the time with your family or whatever you're doing. Hope you enjoy your day off if maybe you're out of work or something. Watch some basketball. Eat some good food. That's what I'll be doing on Christmas Day. So, best of luck on the slate, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. Hit that like button before you get out of here. Hit the subscribe button as well. Check out my Patreon content. Link down below in the description if that is something that does interest you. And yeah, guys, best of luck on the slate. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.